in storm mode this evening. We're watching showers headed to the area right now. Evan, where are the strongest storms?
The strongest storms right now are just north and west of Richmond, and we still have that severe thunderstorm watch in effect for western parts of Hampton Roads until 7 o'clock tonight. We'll have to watch and see if these storms hold together as they move through Richmond, if that watch is extended a little bit farther to the east. So taking a look at the radar right now, you can see that line just north and west of Richmond, the bright oranges, the reds and the yellows indicating where we have the heaviest of the rain and the stronger storms, making that slow progress here off towards the east right now, still west of Richmond, making their way just here past Fort Union and Beaver Dam, working their way eastward. A lot of lightning with these storms as well. As a matter of fact, almost 400 lightning strikes in that area. So here's a closer look at one of the northernmost storms right now, just east of Beaver Dam, south of Spotsylvania. Know that we have some folks who watch us from the northern neck, so we'll track that storm here off towards the east at around 40 miles per hour. That'll bring it around Battery 439, Tappahannock around 452. So it will be after 5 o'clock before it starts to move into areas of the northern neck. And we can see that here on the wider view. That's a line of showers and thunderstorms that extends from Washington, D.C. all the way down to around Charlotte. We have a cold front right through here. And it's as that cold front slides south and eastward later tonight that we'll see those showers and storms. So here's Futurecast. We'll take it hour by hour, at least through the short term. 5 o'clock. Approaching West Point around Tappahannock, as we mentioned. By 6 o'clock, moving into the Chesapeake Bay. Still some strong storms approaching Wakefield. So by 7 o'clock, we're watching that line move through the eastern shore, parts of the peninsula up around James City County and Williamsburg, back through Wakefield and Emporia. 8 o'clock, looking at some heavier rain moving through the middle peninsula, finally moving through parts of Southside, approaching Franklin. By 9 o'clock, a line of showers and thunderstorms crossing over the state line. By 11 o'clock, the heaviest of the rain pushing eastward. Still some moderate rain across eastern North Carolina. And by tomorrow morning, everything will clear out. We'll look for a lot of sunshine tomorrow, but it'll be a day that we're looking at temperatures that'll range quite a bit from northeast to southwest. Here's another look at Futurecast starting Friday morning. A few clouds off the coast, but notice those winds fairly variable as we go through the day. So by the afternoon, we'll stop it here at 3 o'clock. 67 in Chincoteague, 76 in Norfolk, 77 in Norfolk, 80 in Chesapeake, low 80s back inland. And with that wind picking up a little bit of a northerly component again, I think it'll be a wide range of temperatures from coastal areas and inland spots as we go through the day with mostly sunny skies. We had the fog this morning. At times we had good visibility, then that fog would roll in a little bit later. By about 9, 10 o'clock, most of that fog had burned off across the region, and we saw sort of that hazy or dim sunshine through the afternoon. Right now we've got mostly sunny skies. It's warm, 84 degrees, humidity at 47%, southwesterly winds at 17 miles per hour. And you can see that rain-cooled air here north and west of Richmond. The temperatures ranging from 73 in Manio, Wallops Island, to about 88 in Williamsburg, 84 in West Point, 85 in Wakefield. So some strong thunderstorms early tonight, then clearing later, 65 degrees, 78 tomorrow, with increasing sunshine. Again, warmer inland and south, cooler north and near the coastline. Tomorrow night, 64, partly cloudy, and 89 degrees on Saturday. Just a slight chance of a thunderstorm, mainly because of that heat and humidity. And Mother's Day, another day where it'll be cooler at the coast and warmer inland. We'll say 87, but near the coastline might not get out of the upper 70s. And then a stretch of weather with highs in the mid 80s and just an isolated shower thunderstorm on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.